Good morning, everyone. Today is Friday, October 31, and it is time again for some updates in relation to the relief efforts following Hurricane Melissa. As always, the government is continuing to work really hard to get supplies to those who have been affected. As we all know, the western side of the island was severely affected. And so we are working to get relief supplies to them, food, get water to them, and also to assist them in the rebuilding process. So today we're going to give you a lot of updates. At the start, I'll give you some updates based on questions that have come in from the media that I keep getting questions. And so I'm going to start with just an announcement from Cabinet. Yesterday in Cabinet, several subcommittees were established. This is going to be the priority of the government, and we have to have all cabinet ministers with all hands on deck to treat with this. We have never had a Category 5 hurricane in our country. The devastation on the west is unimaginable. And so after Cabinet met yesterday, several committees are now working. The main committee, the Relief and Recovery Oversight Committee, has been established. And that committee will be co-chaired by Minister Mackenzie and Minister Vaz. So both of them will co-chair that subcommittee of Cabinet. Other members of that committee will be Minister Charles, Minister Samuda, Minister Wheatley, Minister Johnson Smith, and I see some minister named Dana Morris Dixon also on that committee. We also have ex officio members, Minister Favour Williams and Minister Audrey Marks. We also have a private sector committee that will look at bringing together the private sector. There's so many different private sector players that want to support. And so in terms of coordinating with what government is doing, we have a new committee that has been established, and that will be co-chaired by two very important individuals, right? And I'll give you more of the context of that committee. So that committee is going to start working from this evening, and it will be co-chaired by Keith Duncan and Minister Audrey Marks. So both of them will be co-chairing that committee. And we know the goodwill is there from the private sector, and so today at 4 p.m. they have their first meeting, and we're very happy to see that having started already. We also recognize that we're going to need to be mobilizing the church. The church is going to have to help us quite a bit. And so Minister Grange has been tasked with that job. We also know there are many individuals who are not hearing from their families because of the communication break. And so Minister Montague has been asked to put together a plan to help families who have not been able to locate their family members to get them information. And so you'll get more information on that. As I'm saying that, I should note that I spoke to Flo this morning, Minister Vaz, and they were saying that they have charging devices that are taking into the West, because the reality is that for many of our citizens there, they would have lost electricity. Their phones would have died. They have no way to charge it. And so Flo has indicated that they're going in with charging devices so that people can charge their phones and they can get some signal. We're also working today to get into at least the police stations, getting them Starlink as best as possible, and also getting them some fuel too, so that we can, and generators, so that communities and members of the community can go to the police station. So that is being worked through. So between today and tomorrow, we'll have that mobilized, and Minister Montague is going to be the one leading on that. Now let me go back to some of the other key updates that have been requested. We have a request in relation to the roads. And just noting that the NWA has been out there working very hard. Yesterday I spoke a lot about the JDF and their efforts, and those efforts continue today. The NWA has also been working really hard, and Minister Morgan has noted this morning that Westmoreland, the road to Westmoreland from Hanover is now clear. So if you're going into Westmoreland through Hanover, it's clear. They've also noted that the NWA is working to find a path, a road, to build it if they have to, or to clear a path from Black River from Westmoreland to Black River. They're working on that now, and they're hoping by Sunday night that will be in place. The other question I've had is in relation to the catastrophe bond, and I just need to give you some updates on that. Let me just get the update for you. The catastrophe bond and the other insurance policies that we have as a country, which are an important part of our resilience framework, those have been triggered. All right, so they've been triggered. Over the next few weeks, we'll get more details into what the payout is and all of that, but they have been triggered, and as the info comes, you will get it. But what's important to note is that we're not dependent on the insurance payouts, because we do have readily available as a part of the contingencies fund, which we budget for every single year. We have $5.3 billion in that. And in our disaster risk fund, our national disaster risk fund, we also have another $1 billion Jamaican, these are Jamaican dollars, that is ready to be mobilized. And so please rest assured that the government has some access to immediate funds. Having said that, obviously all the support we can get from our partners is important, because a Category 5 that destroys entire parishes, the funds we have will never be enough to do the restoration and even to do the relief work right now. And so we want to thank our partners who are working with us. And today in the audience, we have Jem with us. And I know Minister Mackenzie will speak about them and the important role that they play in all of this. So Jem, I want to thank you for being here. I know after Hurricane Beryl, you were absolutely central to helping us in the communities that were affected, and you did a phenomenal job then. And I'm so happy that you're again committing to do work here after this really, really horrible disaster. And so you're one of many that's supporting us, and we want to say thank you on behalf of the people of Jamaica. We also have many others who have come in, many NGOs, many governments are offering assistance, and we thank all of them. Also want to note, this is something people have been asking about, relief, and Minister Vaz will give you some more on it. A consortium of organizations with expertise in disaster relief and recovery arrived in Kingston yesterday, and they're connected with the Jamaica Defense Force, and we're very happy to report that we have the operations have capacity for heavy air ambulance services, Medicorps. We also have some nonprofit organizations that have experience in disaster management. And so all of them are working with the JDF's emergency response team. In terms of the Prime Minister has been out looking at the damage and coordinating all of his ministers. Yesterday, the Prime Minister did Hanover and Westmoreland, and so today he will be, obviously dependent on the weather, doing Trelawney, Manchester, and St. James. The interior of the island also was very much affected, Minister Marks. I know in Manchester there is quite a bit of damage, and we're also hearing reports from Clarendon. And so the Prime Minister will be looking at those areas today. The members of the media had asked previously if they could travel with the Prime Minister on his helicopter. We weren't able to accommodate before, but today we will have 2 members of the media that will accompany the Prime Minister. And if we have access to other helicopters on the weekend, we will also extend it to other members of the media. The last thing I will speak on today, we've been asked about the death toll, and I know this is the one that breaks everybody's heart. Last night I would have reported that there were 19 confirmed deaths, 19 Jamaicans who lost their lives. And this morning, I've confirmed that that number has not changed. But we have reports that are quite credible of the potential of 4 bodies being in Westmoreland that need to be retrieved and 1 in St. Elizabeth. We do not count the numbers until the JCF has been able to go to the site and retrieve the body and confirm it. So we're still at 19 confirmed, but we do expect that that number will change today. And when the number changes, I will let you know. These are Jamaicans who we're so devastated to know that they have lost their lives. Every single life that is lost is a huge tragedy. And so I know that these numbers are distressing, but know that we're doing our best to retrieve the bodies and provide support to those families that need it. In the press conference today, you're going to hear about other relief efforts that we are doing, and we have to work quickly because we want to also save lives. That's also a part of what we are doing here and in terms of the relief efforts. And so that is the death toll, and I ask for everybody to just pray for those who are in these affected areas. Pray for those families who've lost their loved ones. It is never easy to lose a loved one, but to lose a loved one and also to be in this state where all around you is devastation is even harder. And so we will give you more updates as we get them. But now I'm going to move to my ministers. And today I have many ministers with me. I have Minister Mackenzie, I have Minister Vaz, I have Minister Charles, I have Minister Marks in the room also, and I have several senators. I have Minister Abka Fitz-Henley, and I have Senator Keith Duncan here in the audience with me, and I have the chair of ODPEM, Mr. Sweeney, is here also. And so I'm going to move to the updates. Minister Vaz, new co-chair of the new committee, I'll have you go first, and then we will hear from Minister Charles in relation to the relief efforts.
Morning to everyone. Let me first of all indicate that I am honored and privileged to be asked to co-chair this committee with my colleague Desmond Mackenzie. I don't know what we did to deserve this, but we have to work hard and to make it happen, along with my colleague ministers on the Relief and Recovery Committee charged on behalf of the government to coordinate this awesome task, and to say that I will give it my all. So let's start today with Petrojam. And Petrojam loading facilities, as I indicated, sustained no major damage, and integrity assessments confirmed they are safe. Loading of tankers for island-wide delivery began at 6 a.m. today, ensuring that fuel distribution continues uninterrupted. I have a call with the marketing companies and all the fuel suppliers at 11:30 this morning to indicate to them and to coordinate with them through the National Works Agency, and most importantly, the police, to allow to get these trailers or tankers into the western part of the island to fuel the gas stations, which are in some cases low and out of fuel. That will also go for alternative sources of fuel and LPG and whatever is required to keep the operations and the citizenry of these areas going. So I'm hoping that based on the roads being cleared or somewhat cleared, we'll be able to get fuel in, and of course the police will be asked to escort to get them in a timely manner as a matter of urgency. Flow and Digicel, as we know, they sustained major damage to their infrastructure, and we are looking at about Flow, 40% of its network is active. That's mostly in the corporate area, St. Thomas, Trelawney, and St. Andrew. And initial recovery is focused on urban centers outside the storm's direct impact zone, with phased restoration in less impacted areas. Mobile connectivity is currently 22%. 100,000 customers are utilizing Flow emergency services, with Starlink in areas where both networks are down. 31% of Digicel's mobile customers is online, with 24% of their sites running on generators. There was 69% of its fixed business customers, and half of the home internet users are now connected, with service gradually increases as commercial power returns. Both providers have flown in additional technical teams and equipment and are prioritizing repair of the tower's fiber routes and critical communication, especially in Montego Bay, St. Elizabeth, and Hanover. The crews are working hard to restore connectivity island-wide, and obviously we thank them for their commitment. The airports, which is where everything starts. Nothing can happen unless we have those airports open. I'm happy to say again that Norman Manley International Airport accepted 13 cargo relief flights yesterday, and that does not include what relief came in on commercial airlines and also private airlines, which there were many. I'm happy to say that both commercial and relief operations continue at Norman Manley International Airport, and we are expecting in excess of 20 cargo flights coming in today. So I want to pause to say that the issue of the relief and the support that we have gotten is overwhelming, and we thank our partners all across the world, governments and charitable organizations, NGOs. But that's the easy part. The hard part is the logistics of getting this relief into these areas in the shortest possible time, which we are now pretty much out of time in terms of the desperation among the citizenry. Happy to announce that there are several helicopters on the way. Between 8 and 10 from the US government, and those are the big helicopters that have the ability to transfer and treat patients that may need underground treatment, plus, of course, be able to carry a lot of relief supplies. Not to mention that some of the charitable organizations that are here, the big ones, have their own assets, private helicopters, and I suspect that by end of today, we will probably have about 6 or 7 of those. What we will do with that is to coordinate between the JDF, who will be overall in charge of the flight operations of those helicopters, and of course, the non-government organizations who are anxious to get out there, and of course, the government's response through Ministry of Labor and Social Security and other arms of government to make sure that we have a smooth logistics trying to get into as many communities as possible at the same time or in succession. So I would say to all of those persons who are still out there waiting and looking up in the sky that you will start to see movements today, and you're going to hear a lot of activity, and I'm sure that that will make you feel better once you see it, because you probably are feeling that you are forgotten. You are not forgotten, and you will never be forgotten. So Montego Bay Airport had a lot more damage as we got St. James, got close to a direct hit, and I'm pleased to say that we are, we are taking flights, relief flights in Montego Bay now for 2 days, and finally and thankfully, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, MBJ will open for commercial passengers. What does that do? That allows us to get out all of the persons, the tourists especially, who are here and need to get out, and also more access for commercial and relief supplies, persons who want to come back in to help and persons who want to go out. We will be operating out of 3 airports for relief and commercial flights. the 3 international airports, Ian Fleming International Airport, Montego Bay tomorrow, and of course, Norman Manley, which was back up and running. So, I also want to say that Starlink headquarters is on the way here now, and there is quite a number of Starlink offers from charitable organizations within the US, and of course, we look forward to meeting with them to see what they can do for us in terms of getting the police stations and all the essential services up and running. On top of which, the Universal Service Fund has over 120 community Wi-Fis across Jamaica. We're going to use Starlink to get them back up so persons in communities that have been affected can get service, free service, to be able to communicate with their loved ones and, of course, throughout the challenging time of the recovery effort. Happy to say that Minister Dixon mentioned it about international companies with disaster logistics experience. Well, we are thankful that we have 2 offers locally that I want to specially mention. The Honorable Danville Walker, OJ, who was made in charge of the ONR, Office of National Reconstruction, after Hurricane Ivan in 2004, 21 years ago. And he was given an OJ, Order of Jamaica, one of the highest honors for his work there. And he is going to come on stream full-time for the Cabinet Subcommittee to be able to liaison between the government apparatus and, of course, our private sector partners, etc. The other one is the outgoing or former UK High Commissioner, Asif Ahmad, who also was given an honor in his home country of the UK after being in, I think it was the Philippines or Thailand, one of those countries that had a major typhoon, and he was at the head of the relief and recovery. He's now based in UK after leaving Jamaica's shores, but he has assured us that he will be here next week to assist us in whichever way. I want to thank both of them, and we look forward to the expertise. But I want to go one step further. This government and this committee will never ever say that we know everything. As a matter of fact, in most cases we know, for me in particular, I have no expertise in this other than a little common sense, which is not very common. However, I can say that we will not feel that we are so important and so powerful because of our ministerial position, our member of parliament, our cabinet. We will seek and put together the finest team of local and international disaster logistic experts to carry us through this quicker, faster, and better. So I want to reassure the country that under the leadership of this committee, co-chaired by Minister Mackenzie and myself, we are open to all and every advice, all and every resource, all and every prayer, and whatever else comes with it. We know the responsibility that we have, and we will make sure to deliver on the confidence that the Prime Minister has placed in us. Tolls remain open. Disturbing reports about extortion and charges on the toll, but more so the fact that there's a safety concern that I want to raise. Because the toll booths are open, Desmond, and the sticks are up, people are driving through them at in excess of the speed limit on the highway, which has caused accidents in the past and is going to cause more if it continues. I am pleading with every motorist that uses the east-west and north-south highway. Please, we have enough problems on our hands now than to overburden the hospitals with irresponsible behavior, injuries as a result, or death as a result of irresponsible behavior. Just slow down and respect the toll booths and respect the attendants that are there so we don't have any more incidents. And other thing I would say on transportation is I've gotten disturbing reports that the public passenger vehicles licensed by the government of Jamaica are overcharging already. Not overcharging in West Welland because they can't carry anybody down there. Right here in Kingston and St. Andrews, Spanish Town, Portmore, St. Mary, all of the areas that are unaffected, they are overcharging, in some cases, 50 to 100%. I am sending a warning, and I'm putting the Transport Authority on alert. Zero tolerance. Zero tolerance between the police and the Transport Authority. Carry out as many sting operations and seize as many. The more the merrier, because one thing we're not going to accept in this disaster is unconscionable behavior. So today JUTC ran out 168 regular JUTC buses, 21 premium, 3 rural express, and 7 disaster relief. I want to make it clear that JUTC stands ready and will continue to transport essential workers into the disaster zone. The JDF already contacted me this morning. We're moving some soldiers down along with their apparatus. Thank you. I think I may need a hydration drip daily between now and that time. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to take up any more time. I know my other colleagues are here, but to say to you again that the move by the government to establish these committees is a move in the right and positive direction. JPS, finally. Importantly, better late than never, eh? Over the last 24 hours, this is an 8 a.m. response. And I had words with the president of JPS on coming here and told him that as of today, he's to revert back to the Beryl way of reporting. The communication that is coming out is not enough. Not enough to me, and it's not enough to those who are affected. So it's not only the amount of people who have been restored. It's how many more are to be restored and what is the projection for them to be restored. So even in Kingston and St. Andrews, right in and around where we are, there are people with no light. All they want to know so that they can plan their business is what is the issue and when is it expected. He told me that Kingston and St. Andrews, he's expecting the entire Kingston and St. Andrews to be back up by Sunday. I told him that's not good enough. He needs to publish, as they used to do on their social media and through their communication network, exactly where we are every day, which communities can expect, and when. So let me just give you a quick one, because this is so important. 27,000 customers in the parishes of Kingston, St. Andrews, St. Thomas, St. Catherine. Kingston and St. Andrews will be restored 90% by Sunday, November 2nd. St. Thomas, 90% restored by midnight Sunday. St. Catherine, 75% restored by midnight Sunday, November 2nd. So we still want to hear about St. Mary and Portland and the others. The Clarendon, 63% of customers out. Hanover, 98. KSA North, 26. KSA South, 4%. Manchester, 99%. Portland, 83%. Portmore, 64%. St. Anne, 99%. St. Catherine, 48%. St. Elizabeth, 99%. St. James, 99%. St. Mary, 99%. St. Thomas, 10%. Trelawney, 99%. Westmoreland, 99%. 66, an average of 66, and 462,000 out of 700,000 customers. So I commit to all the customers of the JPS that as of today you'll be getting more detailed information, and you have my commitment that we will stay on them until such time as full restoration in the unaffected areas and a plan, comprehensive plan for the affected areas within the next few days after the assessments have been completed. Again, let us take time to continue to pray for our brothers and sisters in the West, and every opportunity that you get a quiet moment, I encourage you to do that, because only that will take us through this crisis. God bless Jamaica, and God bless you.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Minister Vaz, for your update, and I know that they are much appreciated, and I can tell you Minister Vaz is not stopping to work. I saw him sending messages all through the night, and so thank you, Minister Vaz. Thanks to the entire team for the work that they are doing. I believe we now have the update from the NWC. Usually you'd get that from Minister Matthew Samuda, but this morning you are not going to be hearing from him. You will get Mr. Delano Williams, the acting corporate public relations manager at the NWC, to do a quick update on where we are in terms of restoring water to households.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Minister Morrison. Morris Dixon, beg your pardon. I want to, again, just remind us of the tremendous task that we have, but more so also just a tremendous responsibility as collective Jamaicans in our response at this time. The National Water Commission has basically mobilized our entire field teams to respond to the catastrophic impact that is now basically materializing across the island, substantially the western side of the island. Our teams can report that for Hanover, except for our logwood system and those that are coming back online over the last 24 hours, we have a total shutdown. So too for Westmoreland, so too for, well, we're about 90% for St. Elizabeth, and St. James also has a significant number of systems that are impacted. Where we are as well in terms of major systems, our facility at the Great River, there is a bridge which the pipeline crosses, and that entire 32-inch pipeline for about 200 feet of pipeline was entirely washed away. So as we speak, there is an emergency response where our contractor is now reinstalling that pipeline in order to facilitate water supply distribution into St. James, sections of Hanover, substantially. We want to make the point that it is going to be a phased response, and while the major town centers are running in most parishes, we are seeing that the road access, the level of debris, trees falling, are going to cause challenges in order for us to fully access the more rural locations. Some of them are down for what we call turbidity, which is where the river becomes too muddy or too full with debris to safely treat and distribute water. There are also other locations where the power is out and it will take some time, as per the JPSCO's own work schedule, for us to be able to restart operations. We, at this point, have about 382 systems that are offline. As I said, and that's we have a total of over 600 systems, near 700 systems that we operate from. So practically half of those. The major town centers are on the eastern side, Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine. Those we expect should be back near to some normalcy by the weekend. The Constant Spring network, we're seeing some amount of disruption temporarily. We expect those to be normalized once we have full power restoration. The Mona network is operating. But what I want to leave with us is that we are, in fact, mobilizing generators to the key sites, Martha Brae, the Logwood system coming east into St. Anne, our Bogue system going all the way out to Portland. Similarly, in the Black River area, Westmoreland area, we're targeting the placement of the generators to ensure the continuity of water supply. As access becomes available, we will move water trucks, water filling stations into those, and our contractors, plus our own fleet at the NWC, has been already mobilized and put on notice so they can get to the sites as quickly as possible. We maintain our communications through our WhatsApp channel. Our contact center is also available for persons who want to make reports or make queries on their restoration times. I may just share, Minister, with the public again the contact center numbers: 888-225-5692. That's 888-225-5692 or 888-CALL-NWC. And that allows you just to make your reports if your area is not yet restored, or to query as to what the restoration time ought to be. Pretty much, again, we just want to thank the public for what will be an exercise of patience in the areas where they do not yet have water, and we're looking forward to continuing the restoration process. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that update. I do not see Minister Mackenzie, and so I'm going to ask Senator Keith Duncan, the new co-chair of our committee established with the private sector, to support the government efforts across the country. So, Senator Duncan, you've never been here to one of these. Again, welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Morning to the our Jamaican brothers and sisters out there. Jamaica has really faced a catastrophe. There are hundreds and thousands of our brothers and sisters out there that are suffering. And I was happy when the Prime Minister asked me to co-chair, happy to support this effort in terms of a coordinated and structured approach, because there's a lot of goodwill in the private sector. The private sector is very clear that they need to step up to the table. Meetings have already started along with other ministers in terms of addressing the immediate need in communities. I'm happy to work along with my co-chair, Minister Audrey Marks, in this regard. What is more important that it is a public-private NGO aid agency, a coordinated, structured approach that is data-driven, that ranks vulnerable communities, that ensures that we're getting to the areas of greatest need, that ensures that there's a delivery mechanism in place to get there in a timely manner, that ensures that it is a coordinated mechanism that works across ODPEM, who has the responsibility, the legal responsibility to execute, along with the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, along with the private sector group that will come together to ensure that that coordinated mechanism is effective, it is working seamlessly, and it is getting to the beneficiaries who are in great need as we speak. So we are looking forward to working together around this in the spirit of partnership, and ensuring that this mechanism works as effectively as possible. And therefore, we're meeting as private sector heads. I myself, being a former head of the private sector organization of Jamaica, we'll be meeting with the private sector heads from the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association this afternoon, along with, that is Catherine Silveira, the head of the PSOJ, Mr. Mitri Siaga, along with Mr. Emile Leiber from the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, And we'll be looking to pull in business associations across the island into the effort in the different chambers of commerces like in Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, and all these areas, all this business community. What we're trying to do is coalesce and pull together the resources that the private sector want to be able to donate, but they want to see it being done in a structured way to ensure that these resources are harnessed and they are needs-based, and they're going to the most vulnerable in our population as we start this relief effort. We're happy to work with the NGOs because we have worked with NGOs in the past, and that's an effort that we want to do to ensure it's coordinated. So while I really never signed up for a lot more work, more than the senator work, I'm willing to take this on at this point in time because I believe I can add some value in terms of pulling the actors together to ensure that we have the best response possible for Jamaica. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Duncan, for that. And again, we note that this is going to take the entire country working together to get us back. And so anywhere we can find the expertise, if it's Senator Duncan and the entire private sector, we know there are so many wonderful people in the private sector that want to support. And what we're doing is opening up that avenue. If some of you want to help me in my role, we're here for that too. And so we understand that there's expertise outside of government, and that's what we're trying to harness. And so we thank Senator Duncan for agreeing to chair that committee. And now we're going to be moving on to Minister Mackenzie for his updates.
Thank you, Minister Dixon. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'd like to start off by giving an update on the situation around the island as it relates to the question of road access, and to give an update on the status of municipalities, the structure of the municipal corporations across the country. First of all, the road access in terms of transportation, efforts are being made. I just came off the phone with Minister Morgan about allowing free access to many of the major roadways across the country. The travel from Kingston to Lucianova is accessible via the Class A road following the movements of emergency supplies and personnel. The main southern route from Santa Cruz to Black River has been cleared, and access for vehicular traffic is also available through Allen Bamboo, the main road. It has been reopened to single-lane traffic following a significant effort by the National Works Agency and the Jamaica Defense Force and the other teams to make the road accessible. The minister advised me that efforts are being made as we speak to ensure that we can access Westmoreland going through Black River, and that work is being done because tomorrow we want to take a team into White House in Westmoreland to start to provide some relief supplies. The health sector continues to hold up under the stress. The Noel Holmes Hospital in Hanover has been impacted, and 18 patients were successfully transferred or relocated to Cornwall Regional. And all the efforts under the Ministry of Health is being coordinated to ensure that our health services are standing up. And I want to use the opportunity, Minister Morris Dixon, to commend the medical team, especially those in the parishes that have been severely affected, who have been working around the clock, and to say how grateful we are as a country for their commitment in saving lives and to ensure that our medical services are standing up. The municipal corporations have been doing their fair share of work, and over the last couple of days, community roads, municipal roads, over 500 of those roads have been cleared, and there are free access in many communities. I must stress the point that in the parishes that are severely impacted, work is being done, but the challenge there are extreme, and a lot more over the next couple of days will be done, because the committees that have been meeting to look at the way how to tackle some of the problems there in many of the communities that have been affected. I was able yesterday, after many days, to make contact with the mayor of Falmouth, and it is not a pretty reading coming out of Falmouth, out of Trelawney especially. The municipal building has been destroyed, the infirmary destroyed, the roads and works department destroyed, the courthouse destroyed, the Falmouth market badly damaged, the poor relief office badly damaged, the disaster office badly damaged, the fire station badly damaged. Both markets in Falmouth has been severely impacted, and the drop-in center, which was used to house persons during the hurricane, has been flooded out and is not fit for purpose as I speak at this time. In St. James, the municipal building has been damaged, the infirmary, the roof has gone, the walkway has been destroyed. In St. Elizabeth, the municipal building, the infirmary, the fire station, all the markets in St. Elizabeth has been severely damaged by the passage of the hurricane. Those 5 parishes have no access to communication. And one of the things that we are going to be doing as a part of ensuring that the municipalities and the mayors have some level of communication is that we'll be providing Starlink to all 5 parishes to allow them to have some level of communication with the wider Jamaica. The assets of the municipalities have been compromised in many places, so it means that the revenue base of our municipalities have been severely impacted, and we are doing an assessment to see how we are going to be able to cushion that fallout as it relates to the revenue base of the municipalities. There's a meeting that will be later on today to look at and to see how best we can respond. Shelters. We are down to 430 shelters with about 7,000 persons still in shelters. But again, as I've been saying before, there are many communities that because of the conditions there, persons have generated shelters on their own. And we are expecting that over the next couple of days, we will see a reduction in the shelters, and we'll be in a much better position to manage how we respond to those locations over the next couple of days. Ladies and gentlemen, it's important that the country understands that while I know that there are many persons who are anxious, who can't wait much longer, and we know that a lot of people want to get things done, but we have to ensure that our efforts are well coordinated. The Ministry of Labor and Social Security with Minister Charles, the Ministry of Local Government, the ARTPEM, Minister Vaz, and the team, that subcommittee that has been established by the Prime Minister, has been working overnight since the committee was established There have been several meetings, and we are well advanced. This morning, I am pleased to advise the country that one of our partners, GEM, this international organization, came in country yesterday, and they are here headed by Michael Capone. Michael Capone is here along with his team. And later on today, one of the first signs of their commitment in working with the government and people of Jamaica is a visit to the transitional center in Kingston, where the homeless population is, where they will be providing care package to the homeless population. And tomorrow, we'll be rolling out, along with the ADPEM and the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, various teams to go into Black River and White House in Westmoreland tomorrow. I want, on behalf of the government, to thank Michael and his team. And just to advise you that this partnership is not just only for today. They will be occupying space in Jamaica so that they will be able to respond when there's a call, and not only just for Jamaica, but to assist other Caribbean countries when the need arises. And I want to say this morning how pleased we are that they are here to be a part of the recovery exercise of the country. Again, the government is working. We are doing our best, and we call on the support of every well-thinking Jamaican to ensure that we do all that we can to restore a sense of pride back to the people of Jamaica. A lot more will be done, and we will continue to update the nation on the progress of our rehabilitation exercise. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. And as we get to the end, just want to recap some things that we've said. The roadways are now much more open than before, thanks to the NWA, or National Works Agency, and also the Jamaica Defence Force for the work that they have done in getting access to more of the communities that have been cut off. Additional work will be continuing into the weekend so that we have more access to those roads. In addition to that, we had the question again about the number of fatalities. Again, that number is 19, a heartbreaking number. We know that there are other confirmed, or not confirmed, but we have other indications that there may be other bodies that need to be collected, and the teams, they're working to get to them today. Food distributions have started. There are convoys working with the JDF to get them out. As you heard, we now have other equipment that has come in. More helicopters have come in, and those are going to be used to drop food to those who need it. Right as we speak, Minister Vaz had to leave to go to the airport to help with the clearing of some of those new helicopters that are coming into the country. We need all hands on deck. The entire cabinet has been mobilized to do everything that is possible to get relief to those who need it. We thank all our private sector partners, all of our NGOs, GEM, for being here today. Thank you, as always, for your support. All the countries around the world who have supported us so beautifully, we thank you so much for all of that support that you have given, and we will continue to get food and water to those that need it, and obviously it is very critical that we do that as quickly as possible. I'm going to take some questions. I know I have one. Minister Mackenzie, you can just join me here because we're going to take all these questions that may come, and I don't think there should be too many, but we'll see. I have a question online. Let me get to it. Which said, it's commendable that the government has this cabinet subcommittee that has been established. They want to know about localized committees, and I would love for you to talk about or mechanism that we already have in place at the parish level that will then feed into this cabinet subcommittee.
Okay. At the the level of the committees, the parish disaster committees. Each parish carries a disaster committee which is chaired by the mayor and is made up of all the councillors and stakeholders in each parish. Those information that comes out is feed into the ADPEM, and whatever comes out of us is feed into the parish. So there is a structure that is there, and we work in accordance with each other because they are the ones on the ground and they are the ones who have to execute the programs when it is initiated. So the parish committees are activated. As a matter of fact, I have not issued instructions to stand down any parish committees. All the committees that were activated will remain working until we consider it necessary to deactivate the committees. So no committees have been deactivated.
All right, thank you. And that question was from Emily Shields. Hi, Ms.
Thank
Angle.
you, Minister Dixon. Good morning, everyone. We have 2 questions from TVJ. Jamila Maitland wants to know, 1, this is for Minister Dixon, by the way, will waivers be given to families sending or receiving food barrels or energy-related supplies like generators? 2, how does the government plan to streamline the aid given that citizens and NGOs are making donations? What is the advice to ensure that there isn't any duplication of efforts and that the aid is reaching the people who need it most?
All right, I'm going to start, and I know Minister Mackenzie may add some to it. In terms of the first question, which had to do with the process for getting the aid in, I mean, it's more general than that, and I'll just talk generally about aid. We're really grateful for all of the aid that is coming into the country, and we are asking individuals who are sending it, if you send it to ADPEM, then that is definitely going to get all of the clearances and will get all of the tax exemptions. So once it's consigned to ADPEM, those will come. We're also looking at other facilities. I know persons are asking about barrels and so on, and we will give an answer to that on the barrels also. And so it's very important that we use the official channels. There are some NGOs that are working very closely with ADPEM, and so that's already being taken care of. But what was the earlier part of your question?
Well, you would have answered the NGO's part. They basically want to know, just to avoid duplication of efforts, what are we doing as a government in terms of we just want to ensure that the aid is reaching the people who need it most.
Yes,
so
and that's the key
just
thing.
to avoid the duplication.
And that's the key thing. In Beryl, we had reports that, people would get from different organizations who are working in the space. And that's why ADPEM, the committee that PM has just appointed, is very important, because what we're doing is we're collecting the data from the field. Minister Mackenzie spoke about the parish committees. They're reporting in on a daily basis, even at our emergency center. That's still alive now. And so we know what are the needs in the areas. And so when the goods are coming in, we actually are able to allocate them efficiently. And so there's a process in place, and that's why we say use ADPEM. But many of the agencies, GEM is working with ADPEM. The other NGOs, many of them are, but some are not necessarily working with ADPEM. So let's make sure that we're using entities that are aligned with ADPEM and is being coordinated with them.
No, the question of duplication, is that something that you're going to get away from. But what we have is a team headed by the Ministry of Labor with field officers, the Social Development Commission, all SDC officers across the country has been assigned to work directly with the Ministry of Labor and Social Security in collecting data. And the data that is collected allows to be able to distribute and to try to minimize duplication. And there's a DAR team that is presently out, headed by the JDF and others, that is out there doing the assessment. I want to mention also that Liz Riley, head of SEDEMA, is coming into country today, and she'll be here to assist us also in that process. But to answer that question, duplication is going to be difficult to cut out. And we will be using whatever methods we can. I know that some of our partners will have their own method of how they will handle their distribution. So we will work to try to see if we can minimize the question of duplication. When it comes on now to the rebuilding phase, now that is a different thing. And I remember the Prime Minister saying to Jamaicans before the hurricane came, one of the things you must try and do is protect your documents. So your passport, your ID, that is going to be a means of identification, and that is going to become critical.
Morning, everyone. Mahiri Stewart, Nationwide News here. Question for the two ministers now. In terms of the amount of aid that we see coming into the country, as well as the amount of civilians across the country that are going into the western end to help, is there any fear that there may be, how do I say this, a problem in terms of traffic flow, in terms of too many persons going in at one time, and what's being done to manage the amount of persons going in so that the necessary things can get there in the necessary time?
Well, let us put it this way. The government recognize that that is going to be possible, because a couple days ago, just trying to get into Island Bamboo, you had 4 lanes of traffic on a road that was only built for 2 lanes of traffic. So we understand that. The security forces have been briefed, and they are looking at the logistics around how this is going to operate. And over the next couple of days, you will see things that are rolling out that will speak to the steps that the government will be taking to ensure that we don't have a disaster on top of what exists now. So a proper system is being put in place by the security forces.
And I'll just note, yesterday I had said, if you don't have to go into the areas, don't. And that's still the case. If you don't absolutely have to, we have a lot of convoys going in. Yesterday, our JDF teams were struggling because they were fighting with the traffic. In some areas, 4 lanes were created. And so we have to ensure that we give priority to the emergency services that are trying to get into the area. Now, I know how hard it is to know that you can't hear from your family and you want to go there, but as much as possible, let's try to keep the roads clear for those who need to get in. As we said, over the weekend, by the end of the weekend, we'll have some more roads open up, and so it will be much freer flow after that point.
All right, and last 2 questions for NWC. The first one would be, just for clarity, in terms of turbidity and the issue that it poses on the water systems across the country, how does the NWC tackle the issue of turbidity in order to ensure that Jamaicans get clean water through their pipes?
So that was one. What's the next one? Or is 2?
Yeah, I guess the second one would be similar to the question I asked earlier in terms of the trucking of water to the communities that don't have it. How successful are those efforts given the fact that we have so much traffic issues in terms of persons getting to the western end of the island?
All right, thank you. So first and foremost, the matter of turbidity is one in terms of how we respond. We do test of the facility. We check the water that is coming in. Our process at the plant itself involves sterilization, clearing of any siltation that is there, flushing of the lines, retesting before we start distribution. Once the water leaves the plant, we also have strategic points along the network that we do checks. Notwithstanding, we do advise at a time like this that customers, if they observe any adverse whether it's smell or taste, discoloration of the water, that they then observe the Ministry of Health's best practices in terms of adding bleach to the water. The trucking process is one that is a case-by-case, area-by-area. Some locations, we will have to bring the truck to a central point. We know for right now the challenge is the road access, and so we are working we are working with the security forces in terms of navigating areas such as the outskirts of Montego Bay, where we have to move trucks to and from the loading bays. So we're very, very similarly concerned, but it is one that we expect that the public will begin to appreciate the need that arises. And with the help of the security forces, we'll be able to navigate as best as we can. As I said, though, there are some spots where we will seek to remain as remote as possible in terms of taking the trucks into the locations and allowing persons to collect some water for their relief use.
All right, thank you. Thank you for those questions. And before we leave, anytime any of our entities that are providing support show up for a press briefing, we always try to give them an opportunity to speak. And so the GEM team is here, and as I said, they do really fantastic work. I don't know, Minister, if you want to introduce them, but we do want to have a rep come and speak to us and tell Jamaica what you are doing.
Thank you. All protocols observed. So we are a large international disaster agency that's operated in 74 countries now throughout the world, inside Gaza, in Ukraine, in war zones, in very complicated places. So we are extremely proud to be partnering with ADPEM and the government of Jamaica. We have a lot of experience in large-scale logistics. So in partnership with ADPEM now, we're working together in just amassing as much supplies as humanly possible from the whole world, including most United States and, especially South Florida, second largest diaspora region, New York City. So a lot of that stuff goes to different fire stations, different, everywhere around the United States. It gets funneled. It ends up at the GEM warehouse, a 60,000 square foot warehouse facility. We've had cargo planes come every single day. We'll keep that going. And then every Friday, we'll ship 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, however many containers on the Friday ship out of Miami to here. Then that comes in, that gets processed through ADPEN, and then we work together to basically bring that out to the regions. As a simple example I can give you, in Ukraine, we service currently 1,100 regions per month with over 400 trucks. It takes a long time to get that system set up, but what you do is you set up one hub, one area, then you set up another hub in another area, you set up another hub in another area, and as soon as you have those community hubs, then you have a machine of basically aid flow that's continually going to all those hubs. So this is all under the direction of the government. We're just playing a role and part of it, and we're going to do our very best to assist as much as we can in this phase. And then the other phase, which is the second most important phase, but if not the most important phase, which will be the rebuilding. So our agency, in partnership with the National Commerce Bank, with IOM, we had repaired roughly 724 roofs last time around Treasure and Clarendon. This time, it's not 11,000 roofs that are going to be destroyed. It might be 50,000 roofs or more that are destroyed. So we're just going to have the same system scaled by 10. And that's basically what we're here to do. We're here for the long haul, and thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, this is a really great example. Thank you so much for your work and the commitment to Jamaica. We really do appreciate it. And just knowing, this is what we're doing. That's what ADPEM is here to do under your leadership, Minister Mackenzie. It's to garner the support internationally and have it enhance what we're doing in government. And as we say, we can't do it alone, and we need the support. And we thank everybody locally and internationally who has been supporting us. Yesterday I was at the airport and I saw World Central Kitchen also coming in. They are going to do many meals. We've given them the Montego Bay Convention Center as a staging point. Or chefs who are training with our heart institutions will be working with them to cook the meals. And so there's so much that is happening. Please know that we're not stopping the work, and there's so many people who have come in that are not stopping the work, and we are going to recover even stronger. And so as we end this press conference today. Just want you to remember that there are many people who are hurting, and we ask you to say a prayer for them. And if you can volunteer, if you can help, please do so, but go through one of the more approved ways of volunteering, and CVSS is going to be sending out information throughout the weekend, and so please look out for those so that you can lend your assistance in a way that doesn't hinder the emergency work that is being done. And so as we close today's briefing, again, we ask for prayers, and we ask that God continue to bless Jamaica land we love. Thank you.